Hey everybody, it's Moonhorse again. Coming in just before this video with a little bit of information. We're talking about the University of Utah healthcare program. A friend of mine is not doing well and needs you guys, if you can, to look into this program, donate if you can, help out if you can. They're looking for, donations, people who can do live kidney transplants, the whole thing. This is a very good cause, and it's very, very important. So if you guys have anything you can do to help, or any way that you can help at all, please do. It would mean a lot to me. It would mean a lot to everybody. It's not just me. It's about everybody. Everybody's in this together, so we should all put together to actually do something. Like, if you're interested, or you have any way that you can possibly get in touch with this, or if you're in the area and you can do something to help out, you can contact them at uofulivingdonor.org. Or you can contact them at the phone number 801-587-8816. If you're interested in helping my friend specifically, when you get through to somebody or you're talking to somebody, ask for Corinne C. Powell. That's who needs the help right now. It's this person who asked me to kind of help out, not just for her, but for everybody. So if you want to help out, you want to contribute to a good cause, you want to do something good, really help these people out. They could use it. Alright, so now on with the show. Welcome back again, my ladies and gentle sirs, to another wonderful Neckbeard story with your friend Moonhorse, and I'm joined by Sango.
Hi guys.
We're going to read horrible shit. So this is a story by Reddit user Jan Michael 10 Cent. This is the smelliest boy of all. TLDR, teenage Neckbeard stinks up his dormitory and is forced to get clean. Long story incoming. I was sent to boarding school in the U.S. when I was 14. Never lived away from home before, and I was very introverted, so I was afraid of making friends would be difficult. The campus was really big and green and beautiful, so I didn't mind being out of the dormitory. Being out in a dormitory called Chesterfield, which was the furthest from actual campus, maybe like a 20-minute walk. Most of my dorm mates were cool, but then there was one door in the hall upstairs that I'd never seen open. Even after orientation ended and classes began, I asked someone about it. They just rolled their eyes and said, "Oh, that's Todd's room. You want to stay away from Todd." I found out Todd is a 2-year sophomore, i.e. he's redoing his sophomore year for the third time. He barely ever left his room, except for when the housemaster intervened. He never took a shower. Literally never. He would just use a big portion of the dorm's internet bandwidth and order greasy Chinese food from a nearby restaurant for every single meal. The first time I met Todd, it was at 7 a.m. as I was heading for the showers. I swear I smelled him before I even stepped into the bathroom. It was a disgusting reek of body odor, flatulent mold, and something undefinable but horribly organic, almost fishy. I have no idea why he smelled that way, but God help me, it haunts me nearly 18 years later. Wow. Todd himself looked surprisingly inoffensive, really. He was short and pasty and somewhere between fat and stout. He had a pretty thick, bushy red beard that impressively didn't actually reach his face at all. Just stopped right at the jawline. His face was super greasy and pockmarked, and his hair was all short and frizzy. He was wearing dirty, stained, and torn sweatpants that looked like they'd been used to soak up chemical spills or something, and a ragged t-shirt. He looked like an Amish garden gnome. He looked like the Keebler elf put in charge of the licorice and onion cookies. He looked like a bad Oscar the Grouch cosplayer. He also smelled like a Balrog's jockstrap. I like this wordplay. As soon as I walk in, he points a chubby finger at me, looks at me all intense, and yells,
Who the fuck are you?
I'm OP. Who the fuck are you? Todd began leaning in, actually sniffing the air around me.
Where are you from? Are you Indian?
I'm Arab, so my skin is a few shades darker than the average white guy. At this distance, his smell was just overpowering, and I was trying not to breathe or gag. Me, sleepy and horrified. No! I walked past him to go to the showers, edging around him and holding my breath. As I'm washing, I suddenly hear Todd yell down the hallway, crazy tantrum style, for our housemates.
Mr. Jonas, why is there a fucking Indian in our dorm?
My housemaster wrote Todd up for that little outburst. Todd got written up a lot. Turns out he was brought up by a really crazy racist mother and aunt. And even though there were a few East Asian kids and East Asian kids and Indian kids and Latino kids and black kids at the school, he really specifically hated me. So for a few weeks, this angry, smelly little homunculus went out of his way to showcase his disapproval for our school's admissions policy vis-a-vis
letting terrorist goat fucker Aliquila Data scum attend American schools and steal American knowledge.
He submitted a complaint about me to my housemaster every few days or so. Some of the complaints about me.
OP uses the bathroom late at night and purposefully disturbs his dorm mates.
And?
OP was spotted stealing napkins from the dorm rec room.
And?
OP stole books from the library.
I checked out books for a class, but Todd decided I just stole them.
OP hogs all the washers and dryers in the laundry room.
This one was particularly stupid since Todd was notorious for never washing his clothes. Ever.
OP is spreading anti-American terrorist propaganda.
I shit you not, he even demanded that the dean inform the FBI. This was before 9/11 and the creation of Homeland Security. Now, as bad as Todd seemed, he was actually easy to deal with because no one ever saw him. He only emerged to pick up his $5 egg foo young from the delivery guy, sometimes to go to class, or when the housemaster made him come down to do his house chores. He never attended dorm meetings, never socialized with anyone, barely ever opened his door. That last fact was a huge blessing because Todd's room stank so much that all the kids neighboring him chipped in to buy plug-in air fresheners and sprays to make the hallway more tolerable. They complained to the housemaster a lot, and Mr. Jonas had frequent talks with him about hygiene, but Todd would just turn on the water in the shower, rinse himself just enough to look like he actually washed. The guy seemed terrified of soap, and to this day, I still don't understand why. Flash forward to spring midterms, and everyone is stressing and not interested in putting up with more shit. The weather was getting hot, and Todd had taken to opening his windows and his door a crack to create a vacuum cooling vortex in his room. His words. The result was evident one day when we all got back to the dorm from class to discover that the entire building now smelled like Todd's room. It smelled like a pack of skunks having an orgy in a dumpster at Burning Man. It smelled like a sick walrus with diarrhea trapped in a hot room. It smelled like Jabba the Hutt's hemorrhoids. Even now as I'm recalling it, something in me wants to gag. It was insidious. Even after washing my bedclothes 3 times, I could still smell it. Eventually I just had to buy new sheets. Naturally, everyone was pissed as hell. Their clothes and beds and books and stuff smelled terrible. The lawn outside the dorm was littered with stuff we'd thrown out, hoping the sun might purify this unholy corruption. The housemaster was suddenly facing 20 angry kids demanding that something be done about Todd. To make matters worse, the housemaster's family lived in an attached house, so even their space got some of his signature musk. And Mrs. Jonas was even angrier than we were. So Mr. Jonas called a dorm meeting. Todd, unsurprisingly, didn't show. So, the few lacrosse and football jocks among us all stormed upstairs to Todd's room, took deep breaths, ran in, and manhandled his stinky ass out of the pit. We had taken to calling his room the pit. Todd was struggling and trying to do kung fu kicks and shoryuken uppercuts on them, which only made them angrier. One of them starts pulling Todd down the hallway, shouting, "Fuck the meeting, let's just get him in the fucking shower." So 4 kids are now dragging a screeching Todd by his arms and legs down the hall as a 5th turns on water. But there's a problem. Who's going to strip this kid? No one wants to touch any more of him than they already have to, and absolutely no one wants to see him naked. Todd angrily threatened everyone and calling them pussies and cowards and promising to report them for this violation of his human rights. Then 5 jocks, as one, all shrug, pick him up, and just heave him into the shower, clothes and all. Todd is writhing on the wet floor of the shower, actually hissing like a vampire as the water sprays on his face, pretending to be hurt and occasionally squealing like a pig, like the movie Deliverance. Yeah, that. Everyone in the dorm is crowded around as best we could. It was a small bathroom. So we can even hear Mr. Jonas coming up the stairs yelling about the noise. One of the guys, Eric, hero of the hour, and also Todd's immediate neighbor, grabs a mop from the cleaning cupboard of the same one we used to mop the dirty floors and brandishes it at Todd. Either you grab some soap and start scrubbing, Todd, or I'm using this, okay? We're sick of this. You've been stinking up the dorm for nearly 3 years now. I've had enough. I will wash you with this mop, Todd, like they wash elephants at the fucking zoo, unless you pick up that soap over there and start cleaning yourself. His voice is calm, but that shaky edge to it implies that someone is just a hair's breadth away from snapping. I honestly remember his knuckles were white with his grip on the mop. The scene is burned into my memory. I'm standing on the toilet, short kid, to see over Eric's shoulder. Todd's kneeling in the water, all dramatic, his little eyes as wide as they could go, eyeing Eric and the rest of us, eyeing the mop, water dripping on his frizzy beard and soaking his clothes. It was almost a Renaissance painting. Mr. Jonas has by this point forced himself into the crowded bathroom and is taking in the scene. He stands perfectly still for about 7 seconds, all of us looking at him, except Eric, the champion, who is staring down Todd with the determination of Hercules facing Cerberus. Todd is trying to look extra pathetic and victimized to curry more sympathy with the housemaster. Then Mr. Jonas points at us with a stern look and says, "Do not hurt him." Then he turns around and walks out of the bathroom. Outside, we can hear him telling some of the kids to grab some masks and gloves from the cleaning supply closet. As his disgusted groan as he opens the door to Todd's room to get a full face of the reeking, swampy stink. So, on that fateful afternoon, we all stood there and watched Todd reluctantly scrub his face, his beard, his hands, arms, all the while muttering threats about reporting us to the dean and the Department of Education and the FBI and his mother. Eric makes him take his shirt and sweatpants off and throw them in a garbage bag. I wish I could somehow forget noticing that Todd's underwear, which had been white when they were new, were now gray shading brown. No one asked him to remove those. Mr. Jonas and a few heroic dorm mates cleaned out Todd's room, removing good 3 big bags full of old rotten Chinese food, pizza boxes, wadded up tissue paper, half disintegrated shoes and socks, various other pieces of human detritus. They scrubbed the floors and walls. They washed every piece of clothing and fabric they could take out of the room. They sprayed so much air freshener in there it looked like a fog. After the whole incident, we organized a duty schedule that included making sure Todd showered at least twice a week. Everyone had to do it in groups of 2. We had to knock on his door and take him to the shower, where he was allowed to wear a bathing suit or shorts while we watched him actually scrub himself down with soap and shampoo. If he refused, we told him we would literally hose him down inside his room, spraying his beloved computer and books and everything down if we had to. The first time it was my turn to take part in this, Todd just shook his head and stared at me with hate in his piggy eyes and said,
I know you're the one who made them do this. Don't think you fucking won, you goat fucker.
I moved dorms the next year. I maybe saw Todd another 5 times before I graduated. Someone told me he's married now and living back home. All I can wonder is what that house must smell like. Oh, wow. This was magical. It reminds me of Mew and his inability to bathe ever. Except that, the difference here is Mew was not in a boys' boarding school. He was a 30-year-old man when he stopped bathing. So, yeah, you can hear the revulsion in the background. So thanks for watching, everybody. Like, comment, and subscribe. And I have a Patreon. If you want to donate some dollars, we could use them to make sure that the smelliest boy in the world never comes back. So, we love you all. Goodbye.
Bye.